The words echoed longer than I expected. My dad didn't just speak them, he hurled them, each one shaped like an accusation I had carried silently for years. All you do is take. You've never given anything. I could feel my mother stiffen behind him, not disagreeing, just letting the judgment land. My brother looked away, probably relieved it wasn't aimed at him, probably already imagining how he would tell his friends later that he had no responsibility in this meltdown. I said nothing. I didn't argue. I didn't defend. That wasn't my style. Years of quietly covering the gaps in our family's finances had taught me the futility of explaining generosity to people who saw it as expectation. The accusation was clear: I was taking, I was failing, I was disposable. And the punchline, delivered with theatrical disdain: if you have any pride left, leave. So I did. I didn't slam doors, I didn't cry. I walked out, packed what I needed, and left quietly. The world outside the house smelled like winter air and possibility. Inside, the house that had always been a stage for judgment was finally empty of me. At first, my absence barely registered. My dad grumbled about independence and responsibility, framing my decision as stubbornness. My mother shook her head, as though disappointment could bend reality. My brother went about his life, probably wondering when I'd return, hoping it would be sooner rather than later. But small things began to shift almost immediately. Tuition payments I had been covering quietly stopped hitting the university's account. Utility bills went unpaid. Minor but cumulative cracks appeared where I had once patched them. A month later my phone rang. It was my sister. Her voice cracked, panicked, tearful. Why did the tuition payments stop? I paused. She heard silence. Then I texted back, simply, deliberately. Thought I never gave this family anything. There was no dramatic flourish. No message about karma or lessons. Just a quiet truth. The truth of my absence made concrete through unpaid bills. Her sobs lingered on the line, but I didn't answer. I watched silently from my small apartment, the one I had chosen for its solitude, its clarity, its quiet separation from the chaos I had left behind. And then I watched. I watched my father struggle with bank calls and enrollment officers. I watched my mother pace through the house, rereading bills, muttering apologies to no one. I watched my brother realize that their assumptions about my taking were built entirely on ignorance. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't gloating. It was simply absence acting as proof. The stability I had provided had been invisible until it was gone. Weeks passed. The house grew quieter, but tension thickened. Schedules faltered. Responsibilities doubled back on themselves, and every unacknowledged contribution I had made now revealed its weight. I didn't intervene. I didn't answer calls beyond that first text. I didn't make speeches. My dignity had been questioned, my generosity ignored, and my presence undervalued. Silence was the only honest response. Eventually, the family system adjusted. Bills got paid, eventually, but the rhythm had changed. The lessons had sunk in, though not perfectly. Pride and misunderstanding had created fractures that would take far longer to smooth, if they ever truly healed. I felt a quiet sense of alignment. For the first time in a long time, I was not fighting to be seen or heard. My contributions, though no longer physically present, had spoken louder than words ever could, and yet I couldn't call it victory. Not fully. I had left, yes, and in doing so reclaimed control over my life and dignity, but the cost was tangible. Relationships strained, trust eroded, love filtered through judgment. Sometimes, late at night, I'd think of my sister, wondering how she would reconcile the truth of my absence with her memories of my quiet sacrifices. Sometimes, I'd imagine my father, still believing I had taken, not realizing how much I had quietly carried. I hadn't given up. I hadn't sought revenge. I had simply chosen to leave the stage I had been forced to occupy for so long. And in that choice, I found something rare: clarity. People often confuse visibility with impact. They measure giving in acknowledgement and gratitude rather than quiet consistency. I had given, often invisibly, and now that gift, or its absence, spoke louder than any argument, any confrontation, any apology ever could. I watched them, and I understood something crucial. Absence is sometimes the only mirror that shows the truth clearly. And in that mirror, I finally saw myself reflected as I had always been, responsible, generous, and, above all, respected on my own terms. No celebration, no triumphant flourish, just clarity, just quiet dignity. Sometimes that is enough.